Welcome to the Folktale Project. This is Dan Scholes. Today we have our final story of the gold buckskin whincher from Carl Sandburg's Rootabaga Stories. And we've seen Blixie Bimmer get the whincher and fall in love with all the men who have X's in their names. And we also saw Jason Squiff get the whincher and, well, turn all of his hats, mittens, and shoes to popcorn. And now we're going to see the story of Rags Habakuk, which, it's a very monkey's paw kind of tale. This is the story of Rags Habakuk, the two blue rats, and the circus man who came with spot cash money. Rags Habakuk was going home. His day's work was done. The sun was down, street lamps began shining, burglars were starting on their night's work. It was no time for an honest ragman to be knocking on people's back doors saying, "Any rags?" Or else saying, "Any rags, any bottles, any bones?" Or else saying, "Any rags, any bottles, any bones, any old iron, any copper or brass, old shoes all run down and no good to anybody today? Any old clothes, old coats, pants, vests? Take any old clothes you got." Yes, Rags Habakuk was going home. In the gunny sack on his back, humped up on the top of the rag humps in the bag, was an old vest. It was the same old vest Jason Squiff threw out of a door at Rags Habakuk. In the pocket of the vest was the gold buckskin whincher with a power in it. Well, Rags Habakuk got home just like always, sat down to supper and smacked his mouth and had a big supper of fish, just like always. Then he went out to a shanty in the backyard and opened up the gunny sack rag bag and fixed things out classified, just like every day. When he came home, he opened the gunny sack bag and fixed things out classified. The last thing of all he fixed out classified was the vest with the gold buckskin whincher in the pocket. "Put it on. It's a glad rag," he said, looking at the vest. "It's a lucky vest." So he put his right arm in the right armhole and his left arm in the left armhole. And there he was, with his arms in the armholes of the old vest, all fixed out, classified, new. Next morning, Rags Habakuk kissed his wife goodbye, and his 18-year-old girl goodbye, and his 19-year-old girl goodbye. He kissed them just like he always kissed them, in a hurry. And as he kissed each one, he said, "I will be back as soon, if not sooner. When I come back, I will return." Yes, up the street went Rags Habakuk. As soon as he left, something happened. Standing on his right shoulder was a blue rat, standing on his left shoulder was a blue rat. The only way he knew they were there was by looking at them. There they were, close to his ears. He could feel the far edge of their whiskers against his ears. "This has never happened to me before all the time I've been picking rags," he said. "Two blue rats stand by my ears and never say anything, even if they know I am listening to anything they tell me." So Rags Habakuk walked on 2 blocks, 3 blocks, 4 blocks, squinting with his right eye slanting at the blue rat on his right shoulder and squinting with his left eye slanting at the blue rat on his left shoulder. "If I stood on somebody's shoulder with my whiskers right up against somebody's ear, I would say something for somebody to listen to," he muttered. Of course, he did not understand it was the gold buckskin whincher and the power working. Down in the pocket of the vest he had on, the gold buckskin whincher power was saying, "Because you have 2 K's in your name, you must have 2 blue rats on your shoulders. 1 blue rat for your right ear, 1 blue rat for your left ear." It was good business. Never before did Rags Habakuk get so much old rags. "Come again, you and your lucky blue rats," people said to him. They dug into their cellars and garrets and brought him bottles and bones and copper and brass and old shoes and old clothes, coats, pants, vests. Every morning when he went up the street with the 2 blue rats on his shoulders, blinking their eyes straight ahead and chewing their whiskers so they sometimes tickled the ears of old Rags Habakuk, sometimes women came running out of their front porch to look at him and say, "Well, if it isn't a queer old mysterious ragman, and if those ain't queer old mysterious blue rats." All the time the gold buckskin whincher and the power was working. It was saying, "So long as old Rags Habakuk keeps the 2 blue rats, he shall have good luck." But If he ever sells one of the blue rats, then one of his daughters shall marry a taxicab driver, and if he ever sells the other blue rat, then his other daughter shall marry a moving picture hero actor. Then, terrible things happened. A circus man came. "I give you $1,000 spot cash money for one of the blue rats," he expostulated with his mouth. "And I give you $2,000 spot cash money for the two of the blue rats, both of them together." "Show me how much spot cash money $2,000 is all counted out in one pile for one man to carry away home in his gunny sack rag bag," was the answer of Rags Habakuk. The circus man went to the bank and came back with the spot cash greenbacks money. "This spot cash greenbacks money is made from the finest silk rags printed by the national government for the national republic to make business rich and prosperous," said the circus man, expostulating with his mouth. "THEFINESSILKRAGS," he expostulated again, holding two fingers under the nose of Rags Habakuk. "I take it," said Rags Habakuk. "I take it. It is a whole gunny sack full of spot cash greenbacks money. I tell my wife it is printed by the national government for the national republic to make business rich and prosperous." Then he kissed the blue rats, one on the right ear, one on the left ear, and handed them over to the circus man. And that was why the next month his 18-year-old daughter married a taxicab driver who was so polite all the time to his customers that he never had time to be polite to his wife. And that was why his 19-year-old daughter married a moving picture hero actor who worked so hard being nice and kind in the moving pictures that he never had enough left over for his wife when he got home after the day's work. And the lucky vest with the gold buckskin whincher was stolen from Rags Habakuk by the taxicab driver. And that is the story of Rags Habakuk, the two blue rats, and the circus man who came with the spot cash money. And it's also the end of the 3 stories about the gold buckskin whincher from Carl Sandburg's Rootabaga Stories. And, you know, the whincher is magic, and yet it is completely bizarre. It has no laws or rules about what it does. It seems to just kind of do whatever it feels like, which is a very American thing, I guess, isn't it? And these stories, they're silly, they're fun, but they are also very American tales of luck as prosperity. This is Dan Scholes for the Folktale Project. Don't forget that you can subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play, Overcast, anywhere you like to get your podcasts. You can follow us on Twitter at Folktale Project. You can find us on Auto Radio, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, Spotify, anywhere you like to listen. And you can always head over to folktaleproject.com, where you'll find a new story waiting for you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Next week, we'll be back with 3 new tales. As always, thank you so much for listening.